Transforming data is of course something we could also do here inside of subscribe, and that would generally not be a problem. But it is a good practice to use observable operators because it simply allows us to write cleaner code with different steps we funnel our data through that can easily be swapped or adjusted, so that you have a lean subscribe function here and have other steps that focus on other parts. Therefore, here before we subscribe, we can now call pipe, because pipe, as you learned, is a method that allows you to funnel your observable data through multiple operators before they reach the subscribe method. Now the operator I need here is the map operator, and therefore I will import map from RxJS/operators. The map operator allows us to get some data and return new data, which is then automatically re-wrapped into an observable so that we can still subscribe to it. If it would not be wrapped into an observable again, we could not subscribe. So let's map here. Let's add map as an argument to pipe, and map is a function which we call, and that function now again takes another function as an input, a function which will get our response data, and that should now return the converted response data. And here the idea is that we return an array of posts instead of an object with that cryptic key which then holds our actual post. Now to convert a JavaScript object, which we have here, to an array, we have to manually loop through all the keys and create a new array. So here I'll create a new post array constant, which is empty initially, and then I'll use a for in loop to go through all my keys in response data, which I know will be an object, and then I want to push each piece of data into my posts array. So here I will then use posts array and push response data key. So I'm accessing the key we're currently looking at in response data, and therefore I'm accessing the nested JavaScript object, and I'm pushing that nested JavaScript object into my posts array. However, I don't just want to push that object like this in there. Instead, I want to push a new object in there. So let me add curly braces. And let's use the spread operator now. This will pull out all the key value pairs of that nested object we're accessing here. And let's close this with curly braces too, because this now allows me to also add one new key value pair to that object we're adding to posts array. And that should be an ID field, which actually stores the key. Because that key here, that cryptic string, is a perfect ID, and it is a unique ID generated by Firebase. Therefore, of course, I want to keep that so that we have this, for example, if we wanted to delete a single post or anything like that. So now we're pushing this new object into our posts array here. Now, it is a good practice to wrap this with an if statement if you're using a for in loop, where you check if response data has key as its own property, so that you're not trying to access the property of some prototype. And with that, posts here now really is an array of posts. And now we only need to make sure that we return posts array here in map, so that this is now forwarded to our subscribe function. With that, if that now reloads, indeed here we see we have an array, we have square brackets, and in there we have an element which has a content, the ID we added, and the title. And this is how we use observable operators to transform our data.